Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show. Our guest this week was a finalist on NBC's Last Comic Standing. She's been featured on Comedy Central, VH1, and many other shows and platforms. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, comedian, actress, author, mom, better half of one of our former guests, and a funny lady of a certain age, Kerri Louise. Hi, Kerri. Welcome to the show.
I love that intro. Plus, you tell everybody my age too at the same time. Thank you. That's nice. And a better half.
The title of one of your shows.
Right. I know it is. I know. Yeah, because Carol is a good friend of mine. She started Woman of a Certain Age. She called me up and she's like, "Hey, I got a show for you on Showtime. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Showtime? That's comedy mecca. Of course I want it." She goes, "Great. It's called Woman of a Certain Age." I'm like, maybe I don't want. I don't know. And then half of one of your guests, Tom Cotter, husband of mine, very funny comedian. But I always say, you say better half. I always say behind every funny man is an even funnier woman. So
love
Yeah.
that.
There you go.
My take on it.
Yeah.
Although it's not true. He's funnier than me, but
So, Kerri, Rosie pointed out in the introduction kind of those 4 phases of you, if you will, in terms of comedian, actress, author, mom. Now, that's either mom of 3 or 4 if you count Tom, right? So,
yes.
with that said, if we were to separate, if we were to separate those into, say, chapters of your life, which came first, or what order were they in chronologically? And what are some of the highlights of each of those chapters?
Wow, that is a full question. The chicken came first, I think. I'm not sure, but no, comedy came first. Comedy came first. That's where I met my husband. Then I got married, and I wanted to get married, pregnant, and famous before I was 30. That never happened. Let's see. So then the kids came. When the kids came, that's when I started writing the books, because I wrote a children's book and I wrote a mommy how-to book called Mean Mommy, because I think we need more mean mommies and mean daddies in the world. Because that's
Love the cover of that book, by the way.
Yeah, you're gonna eat broccoli, or I'm gonna shoot you with a Nerf gun. That's all you need to know for motherhood. Yeah, so while I was at home, like, I kind of put my career on the back burner while Tom was on the road all the time. Married to a comic. I didn't think that through. No one told me, should have married like a lawyer to pay for my comedy career, but I digress. So while he was on the road, I was trying to think of more creative ways of things like that I could do while the kids were in bed sleeping and I was at home with the kids all day. So I wrote that book. I wrote the children's book. I started an online platform called My Mommy Minute, which was kind of before my time on YouTube. I only used YouTube to get a link and to put on my mailing list. No one has mailing lists now. I never said subscribe. Now I'm like kicking and screaming. I'm like, I could have had all those followers. So after My Mommy Minute, I changed it. The social media just skyrocketed with Instagram. This was way before Instagram even existed. So now I'm changing those mommy minutes. I'm turning them into family group chats now, and I'm doing those type of videos. What was the highlight? You said that.
Yeah, let's say highlight as a comedian, as a mom, as an author, as an actress. Just a highlight, say, from each phase.
Well, one of my phases was a highlight of both. I'll never forget my very first pilot. I did the pilot for Last Comic Standing. No one knows this. That's why I couldn't do the first season. I did the second season. I was the finalist in Last Comic. I beat my husband, by the way. Just FYI.
Ooh.
Yes, we both did the second season. I didn't do the first season because I did the pilot that sold the show. I auditioned. I was out in LA. They auditioned me. I flew back home, and in the meantime, I went to the doctors, found out I was pregnant with twins. I walked out of the office, like, just dumbfounded. Like I'm not only pregnant, but I am pregnant with twins. My phone rings. My manager calls and says, "You got the pilot. You have to come back out to LA and film it." I'm like, "Huh, what? Oh my God, what?" And I thought that my career was like I was holding off, and I started late in life having kids because I wanted the career to take off. I wanted to get famous. That never happened. And as soon as I had kids, my career started taking off.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we also appreciate our first and longest running sponsor of the show, Tom and his team of insurance professionals at the Malin Agency. If world-class customer service and doing business with someone you can trust is important to you, give Tom and his team a call today for all your insurance needs. I just wanted to just interject something real quick before you get to that next highlight, and that is those first 2 seasons of Last Comic Standing, looking back, those are like Hall of Fame classes. So to be a finalist in that grouping is an absolutely incredible accomplishment. Congratulations. That is amazing.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, girl power. I'm so excited for you and proud of you as a fellow female.
I thank you. It's tough. I mean, it's a juggling act, and I know for sure I wanted to be a mom, so that was like kind of the clock was ticking and ticking and ticking, and I'm like, that's it. I want to be a mom. It's not happening with my career. I'm going to still do it, but I gotta focus on being a mom. And thank God I did. My youngest, he's, I didn't think it through. You gotta if any women are listening to this, just have babies right away. This day and age, you can have babies. They're so much better with the career opportunities, with family leave. There's and Zooms. You can stay at home. You can breastfeed while you're Zooming. No one will know. It's a beautiful thing. So have babies early when you're supposed to, because I'm a woman of a certain age going through the change right now. I am going through menopause at the same time my son, who's 16, going through puberty. Okay, 3-ring circus at my house. We're both hot and bothered and irritable. He's popping pimples, I'm popping pills, and we're both growing facial hair.
Oh my God.
Who knew that I'd be bonding with my son over shaving cream? Who knew that? So have kids early. If you know nothing about me, here's my little tip.
Yeah, that's a great PSA.
Yes, and it wasn't in Mean Mommy because I didn't know that then, because I wrote it when he was 8. Well, no, a newborn. He was the twins were 8. He was little.
Wow. Well, I want to go back now. Before you started your comedy career, how integral do you think that your family growing up played a role in you becoming a comedian?
That is a great question. I'm the youngest of 4. I have an older sister. She was 6 years older than me, but the 2 older brothers, that's what did it. And they used to beat the crap out of me all the time and tease me. And the only way I had to survive was humor. And they totally, don't tell them I said this, but they helped me because this is such a male-dominating field. It is degrading in every sense of the word. It is no, 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 no. You get beaten down constantly. And I'm like, well, that's normal. I lived that. So my brothers have trained me to be a comedian. Like, I think people ask me all the time, how do you stay in this career for so long? It's so hard and difficult especially it's a boys club half the time. And I think it's because of my brothers. I'll have to thank them later.
Yeah, because we're not going to tell them. We won't.
No, we're not going to tell them. Not now.
Nobody watching will tell them.
Yeah, we're still doing it as adults. Here I am going, no, I can't have them have one over on me.
Well, along those lines, Kerri, one thing I was curious about in terms of looking at your style, and I remember Tom telling us, we talked about he's kind of a rapid fire, one line after the other, and I made a comment that I was afraid to laugh when I watch him perform because I'm going to miss 3 jokes.
Yes.
And you're more of a storyteller.
Yeah.
So how did that style come about, and how long would you say it took for you to find your voice as a comic? Because that's something that's been really interesting to hear from various comics coming up in their career when they found their voice. So when did you find yours?
Took a long time. I think I'm still finding it. It changes as you grow, and but about 5 years into it, I found my groove and found my voice. Yeah. It takes me like 5 minutes to say hi, and by the time I say hi, Tom has already done like 18,000 jokes. And every time I run a joke by him, I'm like, tell me if you think this is funny. He's like, get to the joke, get to the punchline. I'm starting it. I'm starting it. And he goes so fast when we try jokes on each other. He's like, oh, you don't think it's funny? I'm like, I'm thinking about what you just said. Look, give me a second to breathe.
To process it, yeah.
To process it. Sometimes he's like, they didn't think it's funny. I'm like, the audience they have to process it. They're not as smart as you. You already know where you're going. Give it a second. Slow down. Yeah, I'm more of a storyteller because I don't have punchlines. That's why. So I married a guy with punchlines, and now I'm fine.
Do you guys help each other though at all with that?
Yes, yes. Oh, and here's another thing too. Another thing about women and guys and the difference to that. I told a joke. It was about my twins, and the joke is this. I'm pregnant with twins. They were due on Christmas, but they came early, just like their father. It's a funny joke, but when my husband says it, because it's like self-deprecating and it's, his male autonomy, it's so much funnier. But if I talk about it, it's not as funny. He gets applause break on that joke. And
he laughed.
I ended up, yeah, I know, but he laughed. You guys laugh harder when Tom does it. And so I ended up giving him that joke. So we do help each other out. I'm like, that works best for you. You take it. I'll use it. We share jokes. Like he's not going to sue me if I use it, like on a Zoom or anything like this.
Well, Kerri, when it comes to kind of the way people maybe react to whether it's a male or female comedian sharing a joke and just the business in general, how would you say it's changed since when you started until now? And is it better or is it easier as a female comic to kind of break through or to maintain certain levels as opposed to those decades in the past?
It's definitely easier with all the women before me who's really rised up in the ranks, and especially even the women that have done well on roast, because before they wouldn't really have women on roast, on televised anyway. And but that being said, I still think that we have a long way to go to really make an even playing field.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, things that we still have to break through, as you said. We understand you're going to be working with another former guest of ours, Monique Marvez. How did that come about?
I don't think I've worked with her before, so I'm very excited to work with her. I'm working with her at the Flying Monkey in New Hampshire on November 16th. Carol Montgomery, she rotates me in and out, and I think that she rotated me into the Flying Monkey because that's right across from Plymouth State College, where I went to school, where it all started. That's how I started comedy. I did a beauty pageant for my sorority. Because they needed contestants and because I loved comedy so much, I wanted to do some form of acting, and I couldn't do acting 101. It always was full by the time I got to it. So I'm like, this is my only chance to do anything artistic to see if this is something that I want to do. So I did 2 minutes and 30 seconds of a comedy routine for the Miss Plymouth State College pageant, and I won. And that's what started it all. Right there. I was the preliminary. It was a preliminary for Miss New Hampshire. So the next thing you know, I'm in a beauty pageant. I didn't look beautiful. I had short hair like this. I had my letters shaved in the side of my head. Delta Zeta. Wasn't a beauty queen at all. Like I said, they needed contestants. It was 4 other gay guys, but I won.
Now, did you go on? So did you compete in the Miss New Hampshire?
Yes, with 17 JonBenet Ramsey types, gorgeous girls with sequence gowns. I wore my prom dress. I was the worst. I was a laughing stock. I got Miss Congeniality because everyone's like, she's not going to win. Let's just be nice to her. Let's give her something. So yeah, because if I won that, I would have represent Miss New Hampshire in the Miss America.
Right.
I was so out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, but you know what? With those pageants, because it is a talent pageant. It's not like the Miss USA where everything is, kind of, well, they
Yeah.
try and throw in questions, but really that is a pure beauty pageant. Whereas Miss America, there's a lot of room for everyone in that pageant, in my opinion. And you're beautiful too. That's not to say you're not, but I understand what you mean. There's a lot of things. I tried to do a pageant one time, and there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of fake stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't do them.
But I was happy to do it because I loved comedy so much. I got to show second time on stage. I'm on a huge theater
Wow.
with, thousands of people doing 2 minutes and 30 seconds worth of comedy.
Do you prepare differently now that you do both act and do comedy? Do you prepare differently for both of them?
Yeah, definitely for the acting. With the acting, I definitely have to, it's much harder. I can't be broad
Mhm.
and I'm more like, so you're in front of the camera, relax. And that's very hard to do. It's a still learning curve. But with comedy, I've been doing it for 30 years, so that just comes natural to me. So when it comes to the acting side, I really have to make a mental note to relax.
Well, Kerri, as you were just saying, the comedy comes natural to you after all these years. Another thing I'm curious about is from a writing standpoint, if you were to compare, let's say, writing some material for an upcoming show that you're doing or for a new tour versus writing those chapters in the Mean Mommy book or the children's book, does one come easier than the other, or what are the differences sort of in those processes for you?
Yeah, they definitely complement each other. So sometimes I would make a joke, it's a quick joke, set up punch. I would make that into like a mommy minute when I was doing the mommy minutes.
Mhm.
And they would just be much longer versions of that. So you get to play around a little bit. I like it better because, I'm long-winded and I like to talk a lot. So I get to, just like Tom's like, you got to be quick-witted. You quick with the joke, edit whenever I'm doing stand up. But I have a lot more leeway when I'm writing a book or doing a Mean Mommy sketch or even the family group chats. I have a lot more leeway where I can talk a little bit more before the punchline.
Now let's talk about the mom hat. What's your favorite part about being a mom?
Well, I was just talking to my niece who's pregnant now, and I said tubby time when they were young. I said, oh, because I just got her a bunch of tubby stuff for her baby, for her shower. And I just was thinking back at tubby time. That was my favorite tubby time, just getting them all cleaned up in that routine of tubby, clean, cream and powder and put them in their jammies and then sing them to bed. That was my favorite. When they're sleeping. Yeah, that's my favorite.
So,
Nice and quiet and sleeping. That's the favorite part of being a mom. No, but tubby time was my favorite. Now that they're old, it never gets old. It never gets when you're a mom, it never gets easy. It gets different. Like now I'm stressed. It's easier. I don't have the running around, but now this came out of my mouth the other day with my kids. They're in college. And we experienced in college. Nowadays, one pill can kill. It's very scary. I actually said this to my boys. Look, you want to experiment with drugs. You want drugs, you get your drugs from me. They're like, really, Mom? What do you got? I'm like, well, I got Metamucil and estrogen, and I have some Tums. They're like, what does Metamucil do? I'm like, you try Metamucil, you're gonna feel free. So
and
now
later.
in lighter, yes. Nowadays, what do I like about being a mom? I really love when they call me, and they think they know it all, and then they have to backtrack and they call me like, you were right, you were right. This is this and that, and and now it's a lot of that. It's a lot of texting and calling me, and not only when they call me, it's mostly because they need money. But if they don't need money and they need advice, I love that.
Wow. Well, there's another aspect, Kerri, of being a mom that I wanted to touch on, and I'd be remiss if I didn't because I'm a huge fan of the content you're putting out on Instagram and Facebook, and especially love the short reels with the family group chats. And there was one couple weeks ago where there was a wedding, I think, coming up at 3 o'clock that day. It was a pretty stressful time for you. Some strange things were going on that day. So I'm curious, did everybody make the wedding, and were you able to get that group photo taken for the Christmas card?
Well, you're gonna have to see this Christmas what my Christmas card. Remind me to text me your address. What my Christmas card's gonna look like. It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting.
One of those suits was rolled up in a ball or something.
My son's like, I'm like, get your suit ready. My suit. Oh, I threw up on it at the fraternity party and I didn't know what to do with it. So I rolled it up in a bag, put it in a bag and because it smelled and put it in my closet. I know. So we had to scramble to get him a suit. Yeah. It's all like trying to get any five people on time, looking nice, halfway decent, especially, with the boys, all the boys, to smile for a picture is like the worst. And they never want to be, they never want to get to they don't want to do pictures. They want to be on the dance floor, be anywhere else but at a picture, posing for a picture for mom. So the smiles, they're all like this. And it's me going, now smile. So they're never good.
Kerri, before we go, what do you have coming up for 2025?
Oh, well, I'm writing another book.
Really?
Yes, it's I wonder if I should even tell. I'm working on another book. It is going to be a fun book that you can attach it to a bottle of wine and give it to a mom in need.
Oh, wow. So
So
we're going to have you back and talk about that when we get closer to that time then.
yeah. So yeah, I'm writing a book. In the illustrator of my book, Harry the Elephant has an allergy. Said he'll illustrate it again, which is going to be
It
great.
sounds like an emotional support book. If you're attaching wine to it.
Right. All right, I'll tell you. Oh my goodness. Now I have to do it. Now I have to do the book because I'm telling you right now.
Good.
It's still in the very early stages, but it's a parody of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. Do you know that book?
Yes.
And I did a mommy minute. So here's how it happens. I did a mommy minute on it where I wrote If You Give a Mom a Glass of Wine. And it's a parody of that same book. And I read it. You can see it. It's on my YouTube Mommy Minute page.
Okay.
And so I'm going to turn that into a book. And you can put it in a glass of wine and give it to a mom in need for Christmas or a baby shower or whatever.
Well, I'm glad we brought it up because now you have to do it.
Now I have to do it. But you can see how one complements the other as far as like creating and recreating and that, it's like it's just reinventing the wheel and trying to see if this sticks and if that sticks.
So, Kerri, I had one last quick question for you, but it's a little deep, but I really felt compelled to ask you this because of all that you've accomplished and all the great things that we've talked about and all the different facets of your life. Looking back at those facets and chapters, what are you most proud of?
My kids and my family. And being able to do that and still be a comedian. It's very hard, but I'm really proud of that.
Wow.
I mean, marrying a comedian we're both working the same hours and the same time and being able to do it. Like a lot of people said, oh, don't marry a comedian, you'll never make it. I mean, we've made it we're married, 25 years this summer. My boys are about to graduate college. I'm so proud of them. My son's about to get into college. And that's why I'm really starting to really do the next chapter of my career, trying to do all sorts of different things now that they're all grown up. But I'm most proud of that. My kids, wow. They are well-behaved men, and they take after their father, who I joke, but he is one of the best person, funny, loyal, everything. This is why I married him. And we've been married for so long, and that's what I'm so proud about that.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, just from an outsider's perspective, it really sounds like you have it all. You have everything that's really important.
Mhm.
And the icing is that you do get to do what you love creatively in addition to all of that. And it sounds like your kids are great, that they're supportive of what you're doing. And those people who said don't marry a comedian should just keep their big bazoos shut. They don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, it is it's definitely difficult. But I feel like that's success. It may not look like it on the internet or, with my credits that I'm successful, but I feel that I am because I did it.
without a doubt, without a doubt. Well, Kerri, thank you so much for coming on the show with us, and we look forward to seeing you when you come to the area, and Tom again as well. And we wish you all the best with your new book that you're going to write and all your shows you have coming up. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys made me feel like a rock star. I'm coming back because I was depressed just 50 minutes ago, and now, I mean, you guys are so nice, and thank you for having me. And thanks for the great questions and making me cry, by the way.
That wasn't our intent, but again, it's about having great conversations with great people like you, Kerri.
Thank you.
So thank you. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
And I have dyslexia too, a little, not all the time. Don't worry about me, I don't have it all the time, just when I read. I swear to dog, I have it. Some of you do too for not getting that joke. Like numbers screw me up, like when I'm nervous. Not all numbers, I like 11. That's my favorite number. I'll never forget my grandmother. She was choking in my kitchen and I kept on dialing 119. I'm gonna miss her. My mom has dyslexia. I think that's why I have it, but it doesn't really affect our relationship. I wanted to ask her to go out to lunch on 57th Street, but I really meant to say 75th Street, and she switched it in her mind, and we met there and no one knew, so. So yeah, it's hard. I was in the lowest reading group when I was little. And the teacher tried to be creative as naming the groups as animals so we wouldn't know. But I knew. I may be dumb, I'm not stupid. So she's like, the giraffes go in that corner and read, and the elephants go in that corner and read, and the slugs. Yeah, that's you, Kerri. Go back to first grade. And then the teacher, every Friday, she would get all the reading groups together, and we all had to read a chapter book out loud. Very nerve-wracking for me. We had to go in a row and read a paragraph. So now I'm nervous, so I count down the people, and then I count down my paragraph, and I practice so I can do well. Well, Billy, the smartest kid in class, he was sitting in front of me, and the teacher loved Billy. She's like, oh, Billy, you're doing so well. Just continue to the next paragraph. And I'm like, no, that's my paragraph. No. So I stand up, I start reading like louder than Billy, and I'm like, that is my paragraph, I'm reading. And now I'm on Ritalin. And I know I'm dumb because they said it in my report card in the comments section. They didn't say, your kid's dumb. They can't say that. But I knew that that's what the teacher was trying to say in the comment. Like, I may not be able to read, but I can read between the lines. Because she writes, Kerri tries really hard. Kerri's creative. Kerri's a pleasure to have in class. That means Kerri tries really hard. She never gets the answer right. She creatively thinks of the answer that's so out of this world, makes me laugh, and causes me pleasure. Yeah. Don't worry about me, though. I'm fine. I'm fine. Like, I'm smart. Like, I'm street smart. I'm not book smart. Like, I'm gonna be on the street and I'm gonna be fine. Like, no one's gonna come up and rob me or anything. But if I'm on the street and someone comes up to me and said, read this, be like I'm getting robbed. I'm not reading it. Take everything.
This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty & Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.